This is the EVP Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It's the EVP Podcast. What's up, everybody? I'm Ghosty.
I'm DVO.
I'm Beaker.
And we are back, y'all. You guys ready for this?
With an echo at the beginning.
Yeah, because we're spooky.
It's spooky.
It was so spooky.
It sets the tone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone should understand.
It's almost spooky season.
Yeah, it's better than elevator music.
What do you mean it's almost spooky season?
You mean it's always spooky season?
It's always spooky season.
Spooky music?
For us here on the EVP Podcast.
You damn right it is. So today, this episode, we're going to talk about the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
The loony bin.
The Loony Bin.
My second home that I've never been to.
Second to the forest with your ginger
Your
squash.
Ginger Squatch clan.
Yeah, duh. Good old West Virginia.
Oh, yeah. So this place is in Weston, West Virginia. And this asylum, yeah, this place is pretty nuts. A lot of things, a lot of hauntings going on here. This thing was built in 1864, so this has got some history.
It's over 100 years old, so you know that's the marker for it's going to be haunted.
And it was also built of sandstone, which is quartz-based, there's a theory that sandstone is an element that will hold spirits. It will record a lot of energies and keep them there because of the what's that called? Metaphysical properties.
Interesting.
But so this building, Trans-Allegheny, it was later changed name to the first called the Weston State Hospital. Weston State Hospital.
Well, in 1913 is when they changed it to that.
Oh, that's
It
right.
was originally
1913.
opened as Trans-Allegheny.
And it was made to be a safe haven for mental patients. But people were getting admitted here for all sorts of different things, as like asthma, laziness,
Laziness.
grief,
Hey, clean your room. No, you're getting admitted.
seduction. Imagine getting admitted for being horny all the time.
We're just winking your eye. Like, that's it. You're getting admitted.
Greediness,
Huh.
menopause,
Wow.
anger issues, epilepsy, egotism. Egotism, you'd be there. We'd all be there. Just kidding.
Mostly ghostly.
Pretty much.
Drug abuse, religious enthusiasm. So all those fanatics would be going there.
That Barry Stratham guy would be there.
Yes.
Oh my God.
The moon landing guy. Whatever his name was. Bart. His name was Bart. Barry. Jesus Christ.
So there was different wings set up in this hospital.
The thing is, people just get dropped off, though. Like, you're being a little egotistical.
So
We're going for a little car ride.
do you know literally the first patient there was a woman, and she was dropped off by her husband because he was just kind of like done dealing with her.
Well, they offered money to people to drop
Right.
patients off.
Yeah, they'd offer money. Yes.
Literally the first patient. It's just like, I'm sick of you. You're going here.
It's like she's hysterical. I don't get it. I just got home from work. I'm getting barked at. She needs to be admitted. She needs
Pretty
to be checked
much.
out.
And then they would just be done with them. They'd never hear from them again. Just forgotten about. How
Oh, gosh.
crazy is that? Oh my God! So this
Sounds like my kind of town, to be honest. With you.
Let's go there.
If I could go back in time, it'd be that.
It's like almost like the witch trials, right? Like, you don't like somebody, you can just claim they're a witch so they can get burned
They
at the stake.
actually-
And this is the same thing. All right, I'm kind of sick of this person. There's a reason they should be admitted here.
They actually mentioned the witch trials on their website in their
Oh,
history
did
section.
they?
Yep.
So
Because it was the same thing, like you just said.
Yeah.
that's wild. So yeah, this place was originally built for 250 patients, and supposed to be this safe haven and all that. Well, it quickly got overwhelmed. I mean, imagine hearing about. You mean I can just drop her
Right.
off? You mean I can just drop her off?
Well, and it was a
Or
nice.
my foe. I can just drop off my foe.
Drop you both off right now. It was a nice facility. It was a state of the art facility. They brought people over from Ireland and Scotland or wherever, from Europe somewhere, because they always had Irish people building stuff back then. And it was a state of the art facility. They had each room was like huge, meant for like one individual. the whole purpose of this is they built it in like some weird V shape, kind of like in a bat wing shape, because the light was supposed to come in. The light makes loony people happy. And,
Well, let's talk about the size of this.
That's literally what this the Kirkbride guy that
Right.
built this hospital. He had like 70 of these hospitals around the country.
Well, yeah, they didn't know much about mental illness.
And what was the size of this hospital?
Well, it was built on 666 acres.
Because they also want to be self-sufficient, like have their own farm
they're
and
supposed
things
to
like
run
that.
their own stuff.
Just
yeah.
be like their own little village, I guess.
And these patients weren't like locked up or anything. Like they were free to roam the grounds because being out, it stimulates their mind and
Right.
it heals
Well,
them.
they weren't prisoners.
No, they were just there.
They were,
Like,
yeah.
Patients.
Right. And so out of the 250 people that it was supposed to house, it quickly turned to shit. So by 1880, there was already 717 patients. And then
Wow.
by 1938, there was 1,661 patients. By 1949, there was 1,800 patients. And
So 9 times capacity.
by the time it hit the 50s,
times.
there was already 2,600 patients in there.
Oh, jeez. 10 times capacity.
Right. So each room that was meant for one person had 4 to 5 people in it all the time.
People
That's how-
sleeping on the floors.
Yeah, that's how bad that shit got.
Sanitation went to crap because they were understaffed.
They also did not have medication for mental illness back then. Like, nobody knew shit about it. They were still learning about it.
They also didn't know how to say no. No more.
They had
Capacity.
they had
Oh, they're
very
getting
highly
money.
scientific procedures that cured mental disease.
So they found a miracle cure there.
They have watermelon seeds in it?
No,
Oh,
this
okay.
one was better. This was made of ice picks.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the highly scientific.
Okay.
So they did a thing called lobotomy. There was a doctor there, Dr. Walter Freeman, who was known as the father of lobotomy.
Oh. Good for
And
him pioneering that.
I know this
Pioneer,
guy's
He's on to something.
someone you should look up to.
But he performed over 100 of those there.
Jeez.
That was more than that, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, he probably performed more than that across the country, maybe, but he performed over 100 there at this
Okay.
hospital. Where a lobotomy is where they took an ice pick above the patient's eye and lightly hammer it in to sever the connection to the
tap,
frontal lobe.
Tap, tap, tippity, tap, tap.
So
tap.
they separate that and then they mix it around to just really make sure that that frontal lobe is
Gotta
not
get rid
connecting
of that
again.
prenatal cortex.
So the frontal lobe, what that is in your brain, if any of you were asking, well, what does that do?
No one was asking. Tell us.
They
though.
were all asking.
I
heard
know
them.
they were. I'm asking.
So, the frontal lobes are important for voluntary movement, expressive language, and for managing higher level executive functions. Executive functions refer to a collection of cognitive skills, including the capacity to plan, organize, initiate, self-monitor, and control one's responses in order to achieve a goal.
So if you scramble that up, what does that make you?
A vegetable.
A vegetable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you pretty much aren't able to do anything anymore.
You're a potato.
Yeah, and like you'll think about having to poop after you've pooped.
I don't think you even think about it. I think it just kind of happens, and you're like, you just go about your day.
shat myself.
And I mean, they were doing that to kids as young as 4 years old.
Whoa. That's crazy.
And I think they just kind of started doing that to patients that they just didn't want to deal with. Like, but they were running into,
We'll fix them.
right?
I got this. Where's my ice pick?
Where's my ice pick at? But some of the stuff, like, what was it? There was a lot of stuff that would end up happening to them after that. After they would get a lobotomy, they would get epilepsy, hemorrhaging, brain abscess, dementia, or some of them would even end up dying from it.
Yeah, of course. That's
Like,
maybe the 4-year-old. Jeez.
right? So, and they called this a miracle cure. The people that called it the miracle cure were probably the ones that didn't have to deal with people, that didn't have to deal with them anymore. Like,
Yeah.
oh, put
It's
them,
a
put 'em in the vegetable
miracle.
patch. Put them for the rest of the vegetables.
Good thing we brought him here, because look how fast he deteriorated.
They
Good thing
can't
weren't
think for
staying with me.
themselves or wipe their own butts, but hey, they're cured.
So yeah, that's what crazy shit they were doing because they didn't have medicines back then.
Wow.
It was highly scientific.
So yeah, they
their
had
research.
they had different wings of this hospital. So they had a wing for violent adult males, and then they had a rehab section, and they had a kids section. And but yeah, so out of all these different rooms, they have like the lobotomy recovery room, and in that area, when people go through there now, people are feeling nauseous, and some say they've been scratched. There's a room called Lily's room, and that belonged to a little girl who there's a couple different theories of who this girl Lily is. Some people say she was dropped off there. Some say she was a daughter of a patient born in the hospital and died in the hospital. But they all say that she died there around the age of between 9 and 12 of pneumonia. But she's one of the most active spirits in there, and she'll roll balls around and roll them in between people. And then there's another section called the Ward F, and that's where the violent male patients were kept. And in there you could see where there's like the walls and doors have been beat up by these patients.
Ward F?
Yes.
As in physicality?
F for physical.
Got it.
So yeah, you could see like when they were showing pictures of it, there were looked like knuckles where somebody like punched a steel door.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, there's still damage through there that you can still see. Let's see, some people say they get an overwhelming feeling of pressure and can't swallow in that area.
Interesting.
But yeah, and then there's the room where the bedpost murder happened. And this shit was gruesome. So this is a patient named Dean Metheny. He was murdered by two other patients named James Wood and David Mason.
They shared a room, right?
They shared a room. And this happened in September of 1987. So this wasn't like long time ago, 100 years ago or anything. And what they were doing to him, and this guy...
Well, first of all, they're getting sick of his shit.
They're getting sick of this guy not talking to him.
Yeah, this loner guy that didn't want to be bothered by anybody and
So-
kept to himself.
Yeah, this guy kept to himself. He was a mute, actually. He didn't talk. He did have mental problems, but he wasn't all there. But he was, I guess they said he was a nice guy, but sometimes had violent outbursts. So I guess his roommates had enough of his shit, but I think, of course they're not thinking right either. Which, this was pretty gross what they did to this guy. They threw a bed sheet over one of the pipes that ran across the ceiling, and then tied it around his neck, and then strung him up and hung him until he'd pass out, and then drop him until he regained consciousness. And then as soon as he regained consciousness, they'd pull him up again. They'd hoist him up until he'd lose consciousness again, and they'd do that over and over again until they got sick of it. And then after they got sick of it, they decided to put his head underneath one of the steel bedposts and jump on the bed until it ended up piercing his skull.
Dude.
And died instantly at that moment. But those two ended up getting charged for murder, but were not found to... They were unfit to stand trial.
Right, incompetent.
Yeah, so they ended up staying in the asylum all the way until the asylum closed.
Wow.
But there was an episode of Portals to Hell with Jack Osborne and Katrina. And so they knew about the story that happened, and they brought in that one medium, Michelle, the Conan O'Brien lookalike.
Oh, gosh.
So they brought her in, and she does not know where she is. She's blindfolded all the way, actually they drive in there and all that. So she has no idea where she's at and what room or any of this. And as she's in there, she starts picking up on the spirit of Dean, the one that was murdered. And she's picking up on him and saying how he's on the ground and kind of scooting around, but not. And he was known to be very childlike and to be on the ground a lot. And then she was also trying to talk to him, but he wouldn't talk. So she even said that he was like not talking. He was like a mute. And they even said, yeah, he is a mute. And then she starts talking about how he's like getting up, what pretty much said everything that happened to him, like verbatim, without knowing where she was and all that. It was pretty wild. She hit it right on the nose. But so I don't know if you've seen that, but that was pretty wild.
I did see it, yeah.
But that was really screwed up what happened to this guy. And then on the fourth floor, this floor was considered to be one of the most terrifying in the
fourth floor?
The fourth floor.
Okay.
There's two wards in the fourth floor. Ward T, That's where they had the alcoholic and rehab wing, and that is known to have most of the physical attacks. And they've seen an aggressive spirit in there and hear chairs being dragged. So that's what goes on up in there. And then Ward R, that is where they see dark figures slithering across the floor and doors getting closed. So that's what's happened on the 4th floor. And then they have a medical center. In the medical center, that's behind the hospital where the lobotomies took place. That's also where the morgue is. And they've seen some giant shadows and other physical attacks back there. But yeah, that's kind of a rundown on the hospital of the history.
So why is it
quick.
haunted?
Oh, I don't know. There's some crazy stuff happening.
Definitely nothing to do with the fact that when it was being built, and then they just had the southern wing built, and they were still working on the hospital. The Civil War broke out, and it ended up becoming a fort for I think both the North and the South were using this building at the time as a place during the Civil War.
That's
a lot of people died.
Badass. I mean, this thing has gone through a lot of bodies. Lots of bodies.
Once it was finished building, they didn't expand anything. They didn't, make it any bigger or try to add on to it other than they made the cemetery bigger.
Yeah, that kept growing, I bet.
They had a room. They had a room.
I just did the did you know. Did you know? Actually, there was a spirit there, Jacob Ayers. He was probably in the 4th floor wing where the alcoholics were.
Okay.
This dude, they say they see him roaming the hallways looking for his beer.
For his beer?
For his beer.
Oh,
Apparently,
I like this
they on the Ghost Hunters show, the episode, the first one they were there back in 2008. Apparently, they actually got this on evidence of him looking for their beer. So they went back and looked into it, and 1892, Jacob was actually admitted there, and he was an alcoholic and he was delusional, and he was constantly thinking that people were stealing his alcohol.
What was the evidence they got?
Him saying he was looking for his beer.
Like an EVP?
I'm assuming so. It just says, looking for his beer as heard during an investigation in the Ghost Hunter show.
Okay. Glad we did our research.
Yeah. It's there.
Okay. Some other stories of what happened during the time it was open. A lot of the former female employees were raped. I'm sure they were outnumbered by patients.
The employees were getting raped?
Their employees were raped. So I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were outnumbered. A few things about some of the staff members too. Obviously, they were attacked. There was a nurse who went missing from the asylum. 2 months later, her body was found at the bottom of an unused staircase, rotting.
Oh, shit.
There was a gentleman named George Bodie. He died after a fight with another patient. Another patient, Brian Scott B., he committed suicide. His body was found 8 days later. And then another patient stabbed by another patient 17 times. So just some of the known stories while he was in operation.
The one about the nurse found at the bottom of a stairwell?
An unused stairwell, yeah.
That's... Ugh.
And obviously, again, it's rotting, so they don't know what was done to the nurse, but I'm sure not nice things.
And like we said earlier, like, this wasn't meant for prisoners, but at the same time, prisoners were getting sent there.
Yeah, because of
and then you
other,
have violent
reasons.
So they're like kind of roaming the grounds, and I guess I mean you could imagine they're probably like teaming up and planning to do gross shit like that.
Right, right, yeah.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll list off some of the things that have been reported from people investigating or visiting or things like that. So a lot of the, I don't know, what do you know what it is today? Do they do anything there today?
They do ghost tours.
Tours? Okay.
Oh, they got zombie paintball coming up.
Oh, yeah. They do a zombie paintball.
Okay.
That sounds pretty cool.
That does sound pretty cool.
Have you heard of those? They do those here.
No.
They have people dressed up as zombies.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going.
And then you have paintball guns, and you're shooting these zombies, trying to kill these zombies.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
You want to know what they got going on? Here's a list of their events.
So you're on their website.
I am on their website. So they got the Asylum After Dark that is running September 23rd to October 30th. They've got...
does it say what that is?
Yeah, it says, join us for Asylum After Dark, our celebration of all things spooky during the month of October, We have What You Need, award-winning haunted house, 3
Haunted house.
flashlight tours, and main building paranormal tours and ghost hunts.
Oh, okay.
They also have something called Hearst Mania.
Hmm.
That's September 23rd and 24th. That one is a Halloween-themed event celebrating customization, preservation, and restoration of professional cars.
Oh,
They've
okay.
got
That's dope.
the fall festival starting. They've, like I said, flashlight tours, haunted house, zombie paintball, and on October 22nd, they have the Asylum Ball.
Okay.
You can go dancing.
That's pretty cool.
That
That's some
sounds
cool stuff
kinda
happening
cool.
over there.
So they got a lot of stuff going on at Trans-Allegheny.
Yeah, so you can go investigate there.
The
All
current
right.
owners, I believe, bought it back in 2010, 2011. They got it at an auction. They wanted to preserve the building because a lot of these old asylums have been torn down.
Uh-huh.
And these people decided they wanted to save this one.
No, it's good. I'm glad they did.
So-
I'm glad they're still profiting off of it. I think
Yes,
they should.
they do a lot of cool stuff there.
So I was gone last week, and we had a special guest, Caden. Thanks for coming on, Caden. And I was in San Diego, so I actually tried to do a Whaley House investigation. They don't do any. There's tours. I mean, you can take a tour of Whaley House during the day, but they don't have any investigations for paranormal investigations. I think it's kind of sad that they don't. I think they could capitalize on that a little bit. I mean, I've never taken a tour of the house itself, so I don't know what's inside. Maybe there's a reason, I don't know. But there are some ghost tours around there, and you can investigate outside of it. But as me and Ghosty have investigated outside of it, there's
just
nothing
portals.
to investigate. But anyway, back to the loony bin here. These are some of the reportings happening. So staff and visitors report seeing ghostly figures walking through the hallways at night. Typical, right? A doctor reported that a spirit followed her home from work and continued to terrorize her to this day. So maybe something attached to her. A spirit... Oh, never mind. We talk about Lily here. But yeah, Lily is very active, as Ghosty mentioned. There's a former patient, Ruth, who hated men and had a habit of throwing things at them while she was there. She lurks the asylum. People state that her spirit has a dark energy, and some even report being shoved up against walls. A nurse named Elizabeth maintains a presence in the asylum, including closing doors and walking the hallway. So maybe they see a nurse outfit, somebody walking a nurse outfit. All right, we talked about Jacob here. And the other thing is there is a lot of reports of a black mass that people call the creeper. And it crawls along the walls and floors of the asylum. We were watching, Beaker and I, a little clip from Portals from Hell.
Paranormal Lockdown.
Yep, that's what I said.
Paranormal
lockdown. And they caught something on video. Watching it, I guess it looks like something, they say something's crawling, and then it turns into maybe like a slither. As me and Beaker watched it,
I didn't see anything.
I think it was a shadow effect.
You probably saw
But-
more than I did. It didn't look like anything was happening.
I think it was a shadow effect, but I'm not dismissing the fact that people are seeing something crawling
I
around.
think that'd be something more you
Yes.
see with your eyes being present there, like you having more of a personal
Right.
experience, not even catching it on film.
So that's the most dark thing people are noticing. There's a creeper, but then obviously there's a lot of door slamming. People hear door slamming when no one else is around. Random laughing. So definitely things I could see happening in this building.
This is one of the places I'd like to go check out.
This would
I
be
would
good,
too.
yeah. And now that I know that they actually do investigations, because sometimes we talk about, we'd like to go here to go there, but they
This
might not
place
even
actually
allow
does
us.
it.
Yeah, this place would let you do it.
You can do private ghost investigations. I don't know the price. I do know that it's $250 for insurance.
Okay.
If you want to do a private one, they do public ones. But some of the evidence that we were watching from the 200th episode of Ghost Hunters was actually kind of cool. There was the one part where Adam and Amy were in a hallway talking, and they hear this loud slam.
Yep, I
And
heard
they
saw
go
that.
they go in the room, and there's a chair that there was actually 2 chairs in the room, and they think one of them might have like either opened up all the way, or there was one leaning against the wall, and they think that one might have been pulled away from the wall and slammed against the wall. There was a lot of activity. They had like a REM pod, and they had actually asked at one point like how many spirits were in the room, and it beeped for how many spirits were in there.
Oh, interesting.
But the best one, I think, is the one they say for last, the one that we all just watched. They had a stationary camera just set up in a room where nobody was at the time. And they're showing the lady that owns the building how there's like a book or something on
The table.
the table, and you can see the page.
And also the camera is either on the table or next to the table.
Yeah, it's right next to it. And you can see the page starting to move across the table.
And there's other paper on the table. None of the other papers are moving.
Yeah, it's just the top, this one page. And as they're showing it to this lady, she starts freaking out. And she's like, I got pictures of that guy. And they're like, what? And then they go on to show some of the pictures they have. But it's apparently the most like violent guy that's probably the creeper.
Yeah.
Maybe. They have, in the video, you see a guy standing in, kind of peeking around the corner.
Yes. Of a
And then
wall.
as you're watching the video, as this page is moving, you're watching this guy slowly just fade away. Like he doesn't walk away. Like you don't see him like disappear behind the wall or anything. You watch him just slowly, just like disapparate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the cool part, because usually everything kind of moves away or like goes to one side or down or up. Yeah, this thing just disappears.
Yeah, that was actually really cool.
That was really cool.
I don't know if it was this episode or not. I don't remember if it was Trans-Allegheny. I think it was. I watched this episode with Brandy a long time ago. And I remember there was like, they were in a hallway and they hear like a knocking noise. And they go to check it out. And at the other end of the hall, they hear the knocking noise. So they go check it out. They keep hearing knocking on opposite ends of the hallway. And Brandy just starts laughing. And I go, there's two spirits messing with him, aren't there? And she's like, yep.
It is funny.
So the spirits were like fully aware of what they were doing. And they were trying to get him to go back and forth down the hall.
Interesting.
I mean, there would be so many cool places to go on the East Coast, but this was one of the places that I've
Virginia.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't catch that at the beginning. West
Well,
Virginia.
I think we should go to West Virginia and on the way home hit Kentucky.
I mean, there's so many other places. Pennhurst, Eastern State. I mean, there's so many cool places we need to go check out.
Boston.
All over Boston.
Salem.
Yeah.
Man.
Salem, Boston. You got the Lizzie Borden's house up in there somewhere too.
But I think this would have just as much activity as like Waverly Hills.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
And I think that slithering creeper is more something that you would actually experience, not expecting it, more like turning your head and seeing it happen as it's happening. That's how it could, people's experiences. I could see that being why it's not documented as much.
They just catch it at the end.
Yeah, there's probably just a lot of people that see that, but it's just hard to. It moves too quick.
Right. Especially if it's like a shadowy figure, catching something like that on camera will be hard in a dark room.
I'm going to ask you, on the Portals to Hell episode of this one, if I'm remembering this correctly, didn't they talk about how some lady like tied a bed sheet around her neck and then like got on her knees and just leaned forward and hung herself basically?
I can't remember.
I watch a lot of weird stuff, so it could have been something else.
It was one of your
But I could have sworn
erotic fantasy porn sites.
Right. Yeah. That you sent me the link to.
Send it to your mom.
I'm pretty sure that it was. I want to say it was at the beginning of the Portals to Hell episode, but I don't remember for sure.
Interesting. Huh.
Oh damn, yeah. I don't remember that part, but I just remember the part with where they had Michelle, the medium, come on, and she did that whole scene inside that bedpost room. That was pretty. She was spot on with that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's what she's called, the psychic hound dog.
That's her nickname?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because that's the kind of her thing that she does, and it's cool because when they tell her and give her the validation of it afterwards, she's even impressed with herself. She's like, "Holy shit, that was crazy!"
She's like, "Damn, I'm good."
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's right.
But no, I like I like her stuff. I like her and Chip. They're both really cool.
Yeah.
But anything else about Trans-Allegheny?
That's all I got.
What about you? Got anything else?
No. We should. There's a Curiosities Expo coming up though.
Yes, there is. We haven't been. I haven't been to it. You went.
Okay,
before,
so
right?
last year was the first year they came here to Utah.
Yes, because
So this
they
is the
got
second
the
year.
first year got canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
And then they finally came last year, and then you went to that one.
I did go to last year's.
How would you like it?
I bought my ticket last night to go to this year's.
Oh shit! Okay.
So I saw the post that we put up on social media, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to buy my ticket.
And they commented on it.
Yes, they did actually, because we said we're going to be there, and I was like, shoot, I should buy a ticket because I'm part of We, and they're like, great, can't wait to see you guys, or something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
So the Curiosity Expo, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of weird shit there.
I'm into weird
I
shit.
know last year Brandy bought she bought like a little snow globe, right? But it was like the dead
Had
octopus.
a fetus in it, right?
It was a dead
okay.
octopus in like formaldehyde.
Okay. Snow globe octopus.
It was like a
that's
little
cool.
snow globe octopus. It was pretty cool. I did buy her, like, someone made a picture. They had like old newspaper and it had a quote on it that I thought was really cool, so I bought it for her. And then afterwards I found out it was actually a quote from It.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, her least favorite movie in the world, I bought her a quote from. But she really liked the quote, so I bought it. The one booth that I'm looking forward to going back to is, there was one booth last year that had a lot of mug shots and like social security cards and stuff of a lot of like notorious serial killers.
Interesting.
So like John Wayne Gacy,
Yeah.
Richard Ramirez. Like, I'm saving my money so I can go straight to that booth and buy some of that serial killer memorabilia.
Interesting.
There was also like two-headed duck taxidermy. There's a class you can actually pay for to take. There was like art that was made out of real spider webs, just all sorts of random, like, creepy dolls, all sorts of. If you're into that kind of stuff, go check it out. It's actually really fun.
There was something that I'm pretty sure they most likely had a booth there, and I've seen them at other like Halloween expos, and it was like a taxidermist where they put like skeletons of bats.
Yeah.
And they have them hanging in little portraits, in little shadow box portraits, and they'll have like cool little backgrounds with it as well.
Oh, nice.
Or they'll do, really macabre looking, but it's really cool shit. I would like, or they put them in terrariums. They'll have them in terrariums hanging upside down. It's really
They'll
cool.
have different, like, real skeletons of some animals, some like plastic skeletons of animals that you can like put together in like little puzzles or something.
That's cool. Little puzzles.
There was one booth, if I had the money I would have bought. They had like old school like dental tools from like the early 1900s.
Oh wow.
Just a lot of cool stuff.
Okay, I definitely need to go check this out. I'm gonna get our ticket after we're done recording.
All right.
When is it? When is it?
October 10th.
Okay.
September 10th. I lied.
September.
that?
September.
September.
September 9th.
September 40th.
1984. I have it in my wallet. Here's my ticket right here. It's September 10th.
September 10th.
In Salt Lake
Alright.
City.
11 a.m. Tickets are only $10. $15 if you buy them at the door.
So it's in Salt Lake City. So if you live in Salt Lake City or traveling here, we can go to that and we can go to Fear Factory together.
Mountain America Expo Center.
All right. Join us, please. All right. Let's call that an episode. All right. Go so you don't play that.
Peace out, butterflies.
Let's bounce.
This is the EVP Podcast.